Here we are. Martha, it's good to see you. And where are you coming in from now? Where are you?
I'm coming from Alotau.
From Alotau. Wow. Okay. So look, some of the others are having some difficulty, so perhaps we could start hearing from you as your field coordinator. Tell us, please introduce yourself and then tell us more about your participation in the government response. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Professor, and everyone for this opportunity. I was working with Data for Health, and it was one of the pilot projects in 3 districts in the whole of PNG. They were tasked to do see the health systems and try to improve the health systems on how to improve and help more reliable death and cost of death information that's coming from districts right in the ward, and working with the health facilities to report those costs of death and beds and deaths in those particular districts that were tasked to this pilot project. So we were working on collecting verbal autopsies, which is collecting the beds and deaths and finding the cause of death. So I'm currently not with that project. That project has ended. So I'm not a representative of the Milne Bay Provincial Health Authority. I don't speak for anybody, but I'm speaking from my experience when I was in that project, as well as a human rights defender in Milne Bay. Just a current overview of Milne Bay as a whole. We've had sorcery-related SARV cases for going back as 10 years, and it's spread all over, from the islands to the mainland. And Milne Bay is a maritime province, so anyone can imagine how difficult it is for people to come and report cases in the town, which is in a bay area, which is really difficult. Even in those on the mainland to come to Alotau to report cases. We've had a report from the community development officer saying that protection orders were given for people reporting cases, but it's so difficult for police to go out and deal with the cases because of various reasons. We've also had problems in bringing people to safe places or taking them out of the place where the crime was committed to a safe place. There's no funding whatsoever to bring them to safe places. And also on that note, Milne Bay is a highly occultic society, meaning that the belief system is so strong whereby there is a culture where we need to change that attitude, where people have these occultic beliefs where it will not change their mind. So the way forward from what we've collected and what I've seen on the ground is that we need to use the existing systems that are in place. Like currently, the LLGs have wards. Every LLG has a president. We need to take this message out to the LLG presidents. We need to take this message out to the ward development committees. In every ward development committee, there is a health committee. And we need to train those health committees on basic health awareness, basic health knowledge. Like we've worked with ward recorders who have no idea what the symptoms and the causes of tuberculosis is. They have no idea what the causes of STDs are. And so there's a scenario where people are looking at occultic beliefs. And so we need training, public health awareness training with ward recorders, with counselors, with magistrates, with co-ops, cooperative organizations that are right there in the LLG and in the ward level. We need to work with women groups. We need to work with churches that are in areas that are affected, hotspot areas that are affected by SARS. We need to do basic health awareness, because we've seen that through the work that we've been doing, people don't know. And they've been doing a really good job, but there hasn't been training whatsoever on basic health awareness. One of the things that we need to do is prevent this. I really want to work with the stakeholders, and I hope that people who are working on the ground in the wards are recognized. Like, there is no political support in Milne Bay. I'm just going to be blank here. We have no support. Maybe there is support, we haven't seen that on the ground. And so we need that support from all our leaders. We need also basic health training, as well as the laws that are in place. Like, we've been talking with DJAG contacts, and we've been getting IEC materials for social accusation related violence, but currently there's no funding. There is no funding for the material. So we have to do our own crowdfunding, because we're not an NGO. So we're not, all these human rights defenders we have to go through this IP registration. We have to go through all this process. We need help to people who are on the ground that are doing advocacy and awareness, but there is, people are not recognized, and so help is not going to them, and it's only going to the same people. And so we need that network of help to people who are right there in the wards and in the rural areas. Another thing that I've seen also is that there needs to be studies. There are no studies. This has been happening in Milne Bay for many years, but no one knows what's happening, because people here are not reporting it. Currently, we have a law and order situation where everyone's afraid of both people that are committing crimes and of law enforcement. So how we need to work together and come up with a way where we can address the situation. The churches play a really, really important role. The Catholic Church is very supportive, and the Catholic Church is moving and working with other stakeholders, but we need the other churches to come and also join this network and say, how can we help? How can we get funding? Because many of them are saying funding is a problem, but if we can all work together to get our stories out, then help will come. That's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Yeah, we hear so much from places like the Highlands, and it's very interesting to hear the experience coming from Milne Bay. Definitely. Look, has Fiona managed to get in? Fiona, we're asking you to unmute, and we're asking you to turn your video on. You're in, but both of those were off. Fiona, we can see you in, you're in, but you need to turn both your microphone and your camera on. So look, while Fiona's trying to get in, if we could just...
I'm here, Father Gibbs.
Fantastic, lovely to see you.
Hi everyone, I'm on my phone. The internet is really, really terrible today. So it's been on and off, but thank you. And thank you, Martha, for the first presentation. I just got the middle to end part of it. So Father Gibbs, I'll take over from here.
Yes, I think I saw Josephine there somewhere.
Yes.
Yes. Over to you. Over to you.
So, great. So this is the government panel. We've heard a lot about what's been happening, the great work in the CSO space. And so I'm going to ask the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Justice and Attorney General, Josephine Advent, to speak to the rollout of the SAVNAP, and also the Department of Justice has been leading the government response to addressing sorcery accusation-related violence. And Josephine really is the right person to, I think, speak on this issue, because for those of us who've been involved for quite some time, Josephine really has been the mainstay in making sure that the bureaucratic machinery responds in one way or another, including having this national action plan, which I believe, Miranda, you can correct me, I believe we have the only national action plan to address sorcery accusation-related violence in the world. So thank you. Mrs. Pitmore, if you can come on. Josephine, I was just saying that maybe while you're trying to sort your internet out, if Dr. Coca from Enga Provincial Health Authority is on, we might have her come on and speak first, if that's okay. Hi, is Dr. Coca, are you on? Hello.
Hi, Fiona, I'm on.
Hi, how are you? I think maybe we can move on to you while DJAG is just sorting out the internet in the interest of time, so we can have you, if that's all right.
Professor, I'm willing to go on if that's okay.
Yeah, Dr. Coca, I think if you can go on. So, audience, while the DJAG team is sorting out their internet, we'll move on to hearing from Dr. Betty Coca from the Enga Provincial Health Authority. Dr. Coca, we'd really, appreciate you sharing your thoughts around some of the initiatives that are happening in the province, especially around the health response to SARS. Thank you. I'll leave it to you now for the next 10 minutes or so.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Miranda and Professor Gibbs and the organizing team for inviting us, myself and from Enga on the conference. The question, first of all, I'm going to talk about Enga Provincial Health Authority activities as well as the Enga Provincial Government's initiatives. Can you hear me okay? Okay, I'm going to talk about Enga Provincial Health Authority's initiatives as well as the Enga Provincial Administration initiatives here in terms of GVV, including sorcery. So I'm kind of going to be interchangeably doing that between including what is happening with EPHA or Enga Provincial Health Authority and the administration. First of all, the provincial government, the governor of the province, Grand Chief Peter Iparas, the provincial administrator, Dr. Samson Amian, the province has taken initiative or taken ownership of the GVV programs, including sorcery, and we now have what is going to be called a secretariat, or is it going to be still called the provincial GVV task force? Is something that we will get blessing from the top level down. But I want to say that Enga has taken the provincial government and the governor, the political willpower is here, and the bureaucratic willpower is also here to support the GVV programs, including sorcery. And what's happened so far here? What's happened so far here is that in the province is that police, RPNGC has been doing its own thing. Health is doing its own thing. Different sectors are doing their own thing. So now the provincial government has taken ownership, and they have come up with a provincial task force which will, like I said, we are still deciding whether to be called task force or say a secretariat. We just had a visit from the combined team from UN and CIMC and Department for Community Development here. So we did discuss this. So that's something we are going to decide. But the provincial government has now taken ownership, and it's got and GVV, all forms of GVV is going to be packed under the secretariat, under the deputy secretary, deputy administrator for social services. And within the social services administration, it's going to be packed under division for community development. And that is where the task force, the secretariat will also be, and they will report to, all sectors will be reporting to through that mechanism. And what's going to happen here and what is, we are planning, we are writing our draft plan, strategic plan for the province on GVV prevention, prevention and response. And all forms of, it's going to be under one umbrella, and all forms of GVV, including sorcery, is going to be packed under that one secretariat known as the GVV secretariat. Thank you. Sorry. And there will be subcommittees on the different types of GVV, including sorcery. And that's how it's being organized here. So sorcery will be one of the subcommittees. Family sexual violence, all forms of violence will be subcommittees. And then all reporting will be done through the provincial administration. All data, all information will go through the provincial administration, through the secretariat for ownership. Ownership and sustainability has now become the provincial thing now. So most of our partners who are currently working in silo, the Catholic Church, as Dixon came on earlier and mentioned, Anton Lutz and the Tribal Foundation, Ruth, Ashes for Roses is another organization that's just for women's survivors, economic empowerment and life skill transfers, and many other individuals who are doing their own thing in silos, including all the different sectors in government, like health. Inga Provincial Health Authority is doing its own thing. Police is doing its own thing. So all of this will be coordinated through the provincial administration under the Deputy Secretary for Provincial Administrator, Deputy Administrator of Social Services, fact under community development. And that's how the reporting system will be. That's how programs will be rolled out here throughout the province. So I am glad now that the provincial administration is taking ownership of the GVV programs, including sorcery. So that's how it's going to be organized here. And as I mentioned earlier, the implementation strategy for the province is currently being drafted, and it should be completed before the end of the year. Okay, what are the, and then like I also mentioned, we are also doing, others are also doing separate things. For example, in EPHA, we have the Family Support Center at Warbeck Hospital. And the Family Support Center is at Warbeck Hospital, but we would like to roll it out to all the district hospitals. After we have rolled it out to all the district hospitals, then we want to roll it out to all the major health centers. And some of the level 2 health facilities, like the community health post, that we see where we see cases are more increasing and the prevalence rate is high in terms of GVV and sorcery activities as well. So this will be rolled down to, right down to the grassroots level. At the moment, we don't have any study done here in Inga to say that these are the number of cases in terms of sorcery here. I know our cases are increasing, but we've got to have a baseline data that really tells us the cost of healthcare, how many days in hospital, are we responding effectively, are we getting there to the survivors in time, what are we doing about it? There's really, we have not done any study, and that's an area that we need studies to be done. And I'm sure that police, same thing, legal system, the same thing, education, same thing. So that is something where we need resources in, but resources are not coming forward. So these are some things that research, we need to have a baseline data, and we don't have that baseline data. We are just ad hocly talking from experiences, anecdotal experiences, stories that this is done, that is done, but we need to have that baseline scientific data, real research done for real-time information. Police as well, we have one GVV, we have one FSVU, and that one FSVU is in Porgera. Now, Porgera is about 3 hours drive from here in Warbeck. And we need to have one at the central location. And we did express this to the team that visited us this week. We had a meeting on Monday, and we did express it to them, so they're aware of it. And we need to roll out the FSVUs, not only in Porgera and Warbeck, but we need to roll it out to our 66 district police stations. And we also need to roll it out to the sub-district level. We have a sub-district level at Compiam, Lagam, how many sub-district level? We need to roll them out so that survivors are saved in time, responded to in time. So these are issues that we need to address. And again, it boils down to resources. But what's happened so far is, like Anton Lutz was mentioning earlier, there are heroes at the community level, unknown heroes at the community level that are working, and that are now, thank God that we have the mobile phone as well, so they're sending information quickly through the mobile phones. But in order for the police to go and respond there, you already heard about what is happening here through Happiness Neely, our provincial police commander. That is so this, we have lots of people working in silos as well, and now the provincial government is going to work on a coordinated manner, so which is why the secretariat is coming on board. And the question again that I presented to the team that came here on Monday from a United team came on a GVV. We asked the GVV national strategy is of 2015. Okay, the sorcery action plan, national action plan was also 2015. And here we are now in 2021. We need to ask ourselves from the government level, from DJAG, we need to ask, why is this not working? When the government should take ownership, and all provinces should already have rolled out 2015, 2014, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 5 years on. We haven't done much. And we need to relook at the national action plan. And also we need to look at the sorcery action plan as well as the gender-based violence strategy. If we really roll them down, we have this written at the national level, but the challenge is, have we rolled them down to the provincial level? And as Martha was saying earlier too, this is really a government action thing that we need to take an hold of, and provinces should be running with this, with the action plans and the strategies. What I see lacking here, why we are going back to square one again, 6 years, no improvement, is because we haven't really rolled down the strategy, and we haven't really rolled down the action plan down to the provincial level, through to the district level, sub-district level, down to the ward LLG level. As Mata was saying, we have organized systems in place, and we are supposed to roll them down to the grassroots level, and we haven't done it. So I am pleading from here at the provincial level, please bring us down the strategies, bring down the national action plans to us. We sit down, we talk about it. Help us to develop our strategies, provincial strategies for implementation. And I believe this is one of those things that is contributing to nothing much being done in the provinces, and all the NGOs are crying out that I am working in silo. I'm doing my own thing. We are doing our own thing. Where's the government? So I think this is a question of whether the government has taken really ownership to roll this, the national plan, to right down to the grassroots level. So that's a question for Fiona and Josephine to think about.
Thank you, Dr. Cocker. And I think we'll that's a good sort of way to maybe move on to Josephine, who I can see on board, if that's okay with you. But
I want to ask if I can finish my presentation and then Josephine can come in. I haven't finished yet. I was talking about my challenges here.
Okay, just in the interest of time, because we've still got 2 more presentations, if you can maybe stick to maybe 2 key challenges.
Okay, I'm going to be very fast. I'm actually a very fast speaker, so I'll be really fast here. Okay, so that's the lack of resources, lack of real-time data. Okay, lack of guidance, guided direction from the national level, in spite of all these strategies and that. And then those are some of the challenges that we have in the provinces, and lack of community participation. So those are the challenges that we have here. And the way we see as way forward is we have to, like I said, bring down the national strategies, the national action plans, bring them down to us at the provincial level, and we will take on board, we will own it, like Enga provincial government is already taking on ownership. But we need the support from the national level to come down, roll it out, workshop the national action plan, workshop the GVV strategies, so that we can move on with them. We can implement. This is where the action is in the provinces. Okay, with that, I also want to emphasize 2 other points is that, 1, we need to value the existing cultures in terms of sorcery, which means there are existing cultural beliefs and values and strengths in the communities that we are taking away in terms of removing. For example, when a woman is accused of sorcery here in Enga, she's removed from Enga and brought down to Chimbu or Goroka. Now, what we are doing is by removing,
It looks like we've lost contact with Enga, so I think
yes,
take it and see if we can get Josephine on. Thank you.
Yes, I seem to have lost Dr. Cocker, but I think she's made some really good points, you know, from a provincial level perspective. And so I'd like to now move on to Josephine Pitmore from Department of Justice to speak to some of the issues and also speak about the national level of response. Thank you, Josephine.
You need to turn off your mute. Oh, can you hear?
Thank you, Joseph.
Okay, thank you. Great. Pretty perspective, you would know that national action plan and in terms of the activity participants the years done of areas. I'll break them down. Plan. So the national action plan has 4 areas. First one is legal protection, distribution, service, prevention, redress, and fine. well as prosecution. It wasn't legal legislation passed. Uh, there was amendment.
Maybe if Josephine turns off her camera, we could hear more
Yeah,
better.
Josie,
Oh,
maybe you turn your camera off because the audio is quite bad.
okay. So you can hear me now.
Okay,
Right.
continue.
Yes. So in 2013, amendment was done with section 298A in the criminal code, criminalizes foundation of willful murder, and that particular provision the that used the bedding bedding case where 120 people, very three of them actually affected the the that for the government in that sense. Also, in the same year, that the government passed the protection victims as why domestic violence connection between domestic violence. Well, that is an interesting event where substance one of the issues and
We can't hear, unfortunately.
Sorry, Josephine, we just aren't able to hear you.
We cannot hear you.
We can't hear you at all. Uh, Josephine, maybe while you're maybe it's trying to sort your audio out because it's 20 past. Maybe we can move on to Peter Larry.
Yeah, and I think I saw Miriam Dondo there with Josephine. Maybe Miriam Dondo can get onto her computer or something and
Yeah, or even if it's a phone.
computer. See if Miriam can get hers going. And in the meantime, we can go to Peter Larry.
Yes, let's do that. Peter, are you there? Thank you, Peter. So nice to see you, and thank you for making the time to speak today. Nice Blomiken looking you here. So Peter, if for this government panel, I know you were supposed to speak yesterday and we had the IT issues, but we would really like to hear from you as a police officer who's been really proactive in addressing this issue. The audience, so Sergeant Peter Larry is a police officer based in Karawagi, Simbu. So Peter, I'll leave it to you to share your experience on some of your success stories, but also the challenges that you face in addressing sorcery accusation-related violence in your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me. I was supposed to speak yesterday, but unfortunately, I didn't go in. But I'll just share some bit of success stories and some challenges that are facing me, because I'm one of the few police officers that steps out from ordinary police work to assist in dealing with all forms of violence, but especially social-related violence. I am Sergeant Peter Larry from Karawagi. I'll say the main topic about what are the challenges in policing SRV. Well, there are many challenges, especially to start with, like it's a reported case and in the process to actually do police working and very effectively. We can't because of some very few, not very few, but mostly logistics problems, manpower, and all these things. But it starts from that, starting from the duty counter to rescue, to effect arrest, and then to prosecution and getting a good result is a long process. So along that line, there's many problems associated with this one, like especially one of the challenges along prosecution and prosecuting somebody is the safety of witnesses, customary obligations where the witnesses are mostly threatened or matters are referred back to the village because of streams of things that are affecting and stopping and blocking the way that we try to get a good conviction. But due to many circumstances that's beyond our control, that we cannot control it. As a police officer, I've been facing this. And in 2000, section, but I collectively got the human rights defenders with the Kukuman popis and some local leaders with mediation, village court officials to form our team that we named it Report Response Team. And it really worked effectively. And it was like we had a network that we set informants in all parts of the district. When there was an incident of sorcery-related violence, they used to call us, inform us, and then me and my man used to go. First thing first, we go check the location, make sure we save a life. If the victim is still alive, we go rescue, and then it's our network was like we have to get the hospital staff on standby. We bring the victim to the hospital, and they get treated. Whilst later on we do investigations, and in most cases we do successful arrest and bring them to justice. Then if it needs to be referred back to the mediation or village court, depending on the nature of the offense. If it's very serious, it goes through the normal process. But if it's like needed to be mediated or sorted out in village court, then we do referrals and all this. But otherwise, our team was very successful. But the Kukuman popis were funded by Oxfam at that time, and the work, the team that we formed, and it was so successful. But after the donor agencies like Oxfam left Kukuman popis, our team was a bit it came to a standstill because of lack of funding and all this. But I didn't give up. And the Kukuman popis, they don't give up. Human Rights Awareness Network, they don't give up. We continue to do what we can do. And the very challenges as far as I as an officer is on the front line, getting these things done. Some of these very challenges that I want to bring across to this conference is the so-called witch doctors. The witch doctors, these are some of the recommendations that I need to make from here. The witch doctors are the real murderers, because they are the ones that pass on, do false allegations, which links to people believing in them and start murdering and killing people. So if we have to, to the Justice Department and the national government, the law, there is a law that is that says that they are party to an offense, and this witch doctors must get the same penalty as the perpetrator or the murderer himself, because they compromise to murder somebody. And this is one of the recommendations, the challenge that I see. Okay, the other thing is we need the communities, community leaders, like Antonusa said. There are good people out there, not only police officers or NGOs and government workers. There are good people out there. We only need to approach them tell them, train them, and tell them that what we believe and what we do is against the law. So we can't continue to do this, because if you did this, then the penalties like this and this message, if we can't reach them, then we need to use these people, the church especially, and the community leaders, and some good young youth who are supportive of there. And I've been talking to them, working with them, and I see that it's very successful to do that. The other thing that I want to recommend is in the police department, we have this, we need to provide a section like what the government has done by providing family support sexual violence unit. And in the police department itself, there has to be a funded position for sorcery violence alone. Sorcery squad, I say. So that today when we report or we bring perpetrators to court or to the police station, you see, we have other matters and other committed crimes that are handled by only homicide section, and there's a lot of workload. So I suggest that we have to get a section that this will be funded and separated from the homicide, so that we should have a social squad that deals directly with socialists. I believe we will have a good end results in the justice in our process of prosecutions. And the other thing that I always think, and that's my idea and my own thought, but I think children are young, our children are young. What we tell them and what we teach them, whilst they are learning, they believe in it, they go to school what the teachers tell them. So I suggest that in the education department, when we have to get the department is going to make a syllabus that needs to include this topic about sorcery and violence and GBV and all this. The children must be taught in the early age, then to the high schools. Violence and all these things, because children, this for the long term. Today, most of us come from the rural areas. So, see, one example, like some of our children today, they don't know how to speak their own language. So the children are improving in future. I think this syllabus, if it's taught in schools, I think we can help a lot and we can minimize all these problems. Otherwise, thank you very much for bringing me on, and thanks everybody for participating. And I was happy to enjoy that conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sergeant Peter Larry, and I think on behalf of the conference, the people here, thank you very much for all of the work that you do. We need these kind of champions like yourself in our communities, and so we appreciate the struggles that you go through to help to protect women and girls, and that goes for all of the people like Dixon. Hello, Dixon, and Angela, and all the other CSOs. So I think we have about 10 minutes, 8 minutes before the next session, so we have time for questions. I've seen Martha in the chat box has mentioned some of the issues around Milne Bay. And I think that one of the things that we can see is that we can make the connection between the great work that's being done in the Highlands and maybe look at how we can learn from each other, especially around community mobilization and some of the good work that's been done up in the Highlands with the Highlands Human Rights Defenders. We also had a great presentation by Dr. Coker before we lost her connection there. But I think, is that Agnes, your hand up on the screen, or Nogata? Oh, Angela, did someone have a question? No.
Oh, no.
So I think what we can see is that there is that disconnect between what is happening at the national level and then how, with some of the things that Dr. Coker mentioned around the disconnect with all of these great policies that happen at the national level and how it's not being brought down to the provincial level, to where you know where the bulk of our population is. And I can see the recommendation there from Dr. Coker in the chat box to relook at the National Action Plan. So from the conference side, we're taking note of that with the hashtag ending Salve, that we need to relook at the National Action Plan. I'm going to open the floor now if anyone has any questions for the panelists. If you can raise your hand so I can see it in the chat function.
Professor Gibbs has got his hand up.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yes, I'm sorry we didn't hear more from Josephine, because my question is really to do with the way the support of the government for the National Action Plan. We worked and developed a Sorcery National Action Plan. It was called SNAP. Later on, it was called SAVNAP. And I think there was a lot of progress in people meeting together, sharing, coordinating, and then for the last 18 months, it kind of didn't happen anymore. And I'm not too sure if it was a funding problem or a priorities problem or what it was, but maybe someone else has got an opinion on this. But I think it's unfortunate because we were, even though we didn't really get any funding, at least there was still that enthusiasm and energy that had people going down and meeting and talking and coming up with ideas and supporting one another. But that seems to have been lacking over the last 18 months. And that's my comment. And I don't know if anyone would be able to respond to that.
So I think that's a comment that we can take towards the, we can put back to the department. And again, apologies for Josephine, as wasn't able to be on the panel due to IT issues. But I think also one of the things that I've got from this panel.
You muted, remove the mute.
Hello. I'm just going to also just mention that I think from the panel and the presentation from Martha and also from Betty Coker, Dr. Coker, we can see that there's also a need to ensure that other systems are working. So we've had, and maybe because the Department of Justice has been leading this work, we've had a strong focus on holding perpetrators to account, which we should, but there's also a need to strengthen other systems such as the health system, ensuring that we have better community ownership and understanding of the situation, which means looking at health or looking at education, and all of that has been mentioned also by Sergeant Peter Larry around ensuring that children are getting the right information as well. And of course that the issue of the glass man, which was also raised at the parliamentary committee level by Tribal Foundation. Isaiah, I can see your hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm joining you all the way from Ghana. I'm doing interested in the
Welcome.
mitigation strategies in the Ghanaian case. And I'm very happy to have joined and listened to powerful presentation and contributions. But I wanted to find out, as well from the police officer, how is the police presence in the local communities, in villages? How is that the in the case of Ghana, we have issues where the police are based in district capitals, where this issue go unreported. Can you hear? Hello. Can you hear me?
I'm here, but I didn't.
Yes. My
Yes.
question is whether you've been able villages, rural villages, what's happening in the villages while the police are based in the district capitals. So these issues go unheard, unreported sometimes. And I was having an interview a few days ago with the manager of NGO, and he told me that sometimes when they are calling even on their and that is the common practice. It is not in the public domain, and people are speaking about it. Police are somehow reluctant in responding quickly.
Isaiah, you're breaking up. So is your question around police in rural areas?
Exactly. The question is about police in rural areas, given that the numbers of police and given that police stations are located in district capitals. Did you hear me?
We do a police station located in our districts, and information comes in through phone calls, or it's reported by individuals. Then we respond to them. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that was the question around the role of police in the rural areas. We've got one more minute left, and I see that Mary, your hand is up. Mary Kinney, can I give you the last 1 minute?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was a very nice discussion, and we are just trying to put things together to really see where we are going and what we can do for future. From my hand, I see that there are two things that we need to see, and we can always work towards it. Is something that we need to work around the ownership. As you have said, the ownership is to be taken from the 3 levels of government and right down to the community level. As we said, the ward councillors and where the village court magistrate are, there is great need for us to go and, give them information, train them, and, let them feel that these people down there, those who are suffering, and we are trying to take them out, and some we have already brought them out to other places. They are their people, and they mandated them to be leaders. So at this point of time, we need to just, let them know that it's their task, their role to make a way how to at least take care of them, rather than, like us going in there as human rights defenders and taking them out from their village and relocate them to elsewhere. So the message we need to give them is, it's their responsibility and it's not our responsibility.
Yeah.
1 and 2 is the connectivity and the and the coordination part of it. We need to really strategize it, as Antoinette said. In some provinces, we do have focal points, and they are connected to the HRDN office and some of the organizations. But others, they are still doing their own thing, and they struggle there. And it's good to see some of the youths, the male folks, coming up stepping out to help the human rights defenders. And in the case of Sorcery, they are taking up the responsibility as leaders and as future leaders, youths. There are some people there, like the male folks, they come out to help and support despite of the cultural norms. So there has to be a proper, connectivity right from the top down to the LLG level as well. So these are
Thank
two
you.
areas that we need to really work hard to, get things done, and we'll see how we go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary. And I think thank you. That's a good way to end this panel. I'd like to thank our panelists, Dr. Betsy Cocker from the Enga Provincial Health, Ms. Martha Wame, Field Coordinator for Data for Health Initiative and a Human Rights Defender, Josephine Advent from the Department of Justice and Attorney General, and Sergeant Peter Lowry from the RPNGC based in Karawagi. Thank you, and I'll hand over the back to Father Gibbs.
Thank you, Fiona. Despite the internet difficulties, we made it through. And now I'm going to hand over again to Miranda, who will introduce our international speaker from Nepal.